Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Why entrepreneurs, coaches, and consultants skip making a marketing budget. So I'm going to go on and try and remember how we used to call money before. You know, it was P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, I think he calls himself Love these days. He talked about, it's all about the Benjamins. And I was like, what? Is he talking about his friend who's called Benjamin or whatever? No, his friend was called Puff Daddy. And he was just explaining the capitalist society. It's all about the Benjamins, you know. It's all about the money, the moolah. It's all about the buck, the bank, the bankroll, the bean, the Benji, the big ones, the bones. It's all about the bread, the cabbage, the cake, the cash, the capital, the salary. Cha-ching! It's all about the cheddar, the cheese, the chips, the chum change, the cream, the coin. It's all about dead presidents. It's all about dimes. It's all about dinero, dollar bill, y'all. It's all about the ducats. It's all about the fetch. It's all about the figures. It's all about the FIFA. It's all about that folding stuff, people. It's all about the gelt. It's all about the gold. It's all about the goda. It's all about the grunt. It's the grease, man. Give me some of that greenbacks. Give me some of that moolah. It's all about the lodge. It's all about the nickel, the nuggets, the pesos. It's all about the sobucks. It's scratch the shackles. It's all about stash. Money, yo. Dollar bill, yo. Yeah, that was me trying to remember how we used to call money, growing up and everything else. But obviously, this is a marketing mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs are making. They are not having a marketing budget for their small to medium business. And this is costing them a lot of money and it's hurting them in the budget. So to speak. All right. So this isn't we just talking about marketing mistakes that a few business people are making, and also business mistakes that I've made. You know, I'm not one to throw rocks at others without actually closing my glass door. And I'm hoping that you may benefit from either my failures or what other people are not doing in their business. In order for you to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And the overall, goal is for you to actually create, a well-oiled machine that literally helps you create diverse recurring revenue streams that will skyrocket your profitability and ensure that your business remains 100% bulletproof. Even during market downturns, even during global pandemics, even through sweeping lockdowns. And I don't know what year you're listening to this, but right now there's talk about a recession. There's talk about, inflation, all of those words that talk and depict that money is losing value. But that doesn't mean you can't plan ahead. That doesn't mean you can't invest back into your business. That doesn't mean you can't actually sit down and think about how can you get the most of the money that you have right now so you get a return on your investment, which basically means you're going to have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And if you were listening to our podcast, season 4 is what we're going to be, going through all these marketing mistakes. And yesterday's episode, I don't know from when you're listening to, but the episode before this one, episode number 7, we're talking about the difference between sales and marketing and how a lot of people don't know that distinction. If you didn't catch that episode, I suggest you go in there because I go into depth explaining what sales is and what marketing is and why the difference will actually make you a lot more money than you are currently. All right. So when I was talking, yesterday, it dawned on me that once people know what marketing is, which is basically getting people interested in your product or service, and getting them to know, like, and trust who you are, so that they can then convert into people that pay, stay, and refer. I actually realized that it costs a lot of money for you to show up either in people's inboxes. It costs a lot of money for you to show up, on social media. It costs a lot of money for me to develop these podcasts. If you don't notice, and if you don't know that that is true, then obviously you're doing it wrong, or you're not doing it to the maximum capability. Yes, it's cheap for me to sit down here and wax lyrical about marketing, but it's costing me time. It's costing me, money, in order for me to then distribute all this content so that you can listen to this content in my Internet Explorer, in the comfort of your home, without you having to go about it. But some people might be asking, how then do I get this done? How do I make things happen? And how do I deal with cash flow, and maybe creating a budget, in order for me to actually be sustainable and be able to generate hundreds of qualified leads, like clockwork, so you never have to rely on maybe cold calling or emailing just to beg clients to hire you. You need to have a well-oiled marketing machine that works automatically without you being involved in it. All right, so I didn't even notice up until a little bit when I was really set up in my consulting, that a lot of people just show up and they don't have a budget, and they don't actually have any designated money that is directed at their own growth and investment back into their business. Yes, I can imagine when you're just starting your business, year 1 to 3, you're just wanting to get by. You're just wanting to prove people wrong. But when the business starts getting momentum and everything else, it starts sucking a lot of money. And if you are not paying yourself, and if you're not investing back in the business, then you, my friend, can become a statistic of the people that don't make it past year number 3 or year number 5 in business. All right. So, like I said, I also didn't realize that I was also making this mistake while I was working on building my business. But now that I deal with other coaches and consultants, and as a marketing consultant, I've actually noticed that a lot of people make this error. The mistake I'm referring to is not having a defined marketing budget for your small business. Right. I want you to stop right now and just answer me this question. Do you have a budget that you can refer to and see that you are tracking and you are on point? That has to do with you marketing yourself as a business. Because let me tell you something, a lot of people don't have that. You know why? Because when people show up and have a call with me so that we can consult with them, the first 3 questions I ask them is, do you have a budget with what you sell, what you're proposing or what you want to create? And people, I kid you not, 9 times out of 10, they answer me back saying, oh, I was just hoping to see what the market is offering, and then we work towards that. If you ain't got a budget, then it's not going to work in your own favor. All right, let me start off by sharing my own experience. Today, I actually had to pay an accountant's bill, and I was like, this was not in my budget. But you know what? If you don't have marketing set up, if you don't have accountants, then you literally don't have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And you need to make sure that you've got buffers, you've got all those things in order to support you and propel you to actually create a super efficient system that works without you. And that's what a business is, by the way. A business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. You literally have to be working on the business, not in the business, in order for you to actually see, you through and become prosperous. So, like I said, let me share my own experience. When I would look back on what I've created with Live Long Digital, where we're helping other small to medium businesses with their marketing, I learned that I was actually spending pretty much less than 1% on marketing. You know why? I don't do ads, and I try and do most of the things by myself. You know why? Because this is my forte. I should literally be, showcasing what I can do to people by actually doing it. You know what I mean? Having a test of my own medicine. And as you may be aware, marketing is what gets you noticed. I've been doing this organically for the past 6 years, and that's the reason why I can just receive an email and automatically I've got all this content that I can actually share with you for the next 30 minutes. And it's easy for me. You know why? I've been doing this for a while. And now, I'm now noticed. People know who I am. People recognize my brand wherever I go. But that didn't come easy. That costed a lot of time, money, and effort. And if you don't account for that money and if you don't budget for it, some of the things would just fall through the cracks. All right. So with marketing, it's what informs people about what it is that you do, what you sell, and how you may be able to help them. And you have to do this consistently until people get to know, like, and trust you. And that costs money. All right. Any media that you're going to be using to reach out to these people is going to be demanding of some sort of a payment, either with your time or with real actual money. You know what I mean? And if you're not spending enough, your message is not even going to reach the right people. And these days where we have so many niches and so many, affiliations, it's getting harder and harder because people might be connected on social media, but we've become so decentralized. There's groups of 4, there's markets of 20, there's markets of 300, or there's markets of 500,000 people that are the mass market. And for you to enter into that, there's already bigger players that have already been spending far too much money that you can't even fathom to think that that's how much money people are spending with their marketing. And if you don't have a budget, boom, that's like your business exploding. So I can understand, you know what I mean? Growing your business and competing with tough players, competitors out there, it's not easy. As an entrepreneur, your marketing is just one aspect of running a successful business. You're hiring and managing new staff, you're balancing the books, you're growing, whichever way you're doing. And it feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions. A budget is just a simple plan on how you're going to be spending your money and how efficient you're going to make that money work for you instead of you working for that money. All right. So why is it that a lot of entrepreneurs miss or skimp on making a marketing budget? And if a lot of people don't know who you are, naturally this will have an effect on your sales. So it's just a matter of what came first, the chicken or the egg. All right. Do you have a budget or you don't have a budget? Do you have sales or are you doing marketing? All of that stuff, we need to get that figured out. And let me tell you something. A lot of coaches and consultants and small to medium businesses, they make this mistake, so to speak, because marketing is an intangible. All right. You can't touch marketing, but it actually works. All right. And, if people can't touch it, if people can't explain it to the next person or what it is that you're doing, how do you explain sending out an email? You know what I mean? You can't bring that home as a trophy or anything of that nature. How do you explain a tweet? That a tweet actually got you to start generating leads, or people started, responding to your content because of its intangible, form. People cannot defend it on a credit card statement. And that's the reason why people like myself that are marketing experts, we really need to really drive home or to really fight for the case of marketing and tell them, yes, you might not see it, but it is an investment. It is an asset. It is not an expense. Marketing is just not an expense. It's an investment. Like I was talking about my accountant earlier on, I often see a lot of businesses spending an incredible amount on marketing and getting very little in return because they're doing the wrong things. They're measuring in things that gives them some sort of tangible result, whereas you can't download a hug. And that's what your customers are looking for out there. You might be putting out consulting, you might be putting out training, information, expertise, or whatever paid speaking gigs. But guess what? People just want somebody to hear them. They want to be moved from fear to belonging. People just want connection. People want peace of mind. People want status. People want to be valued. And that's the market we're going out there to grab. And you get that through marketing. When you educate your people, when you engage them and you work with them so that they get to know, like, and trust you. And in the process, you just help them throw rocks at their enemies. You can't put that on a credit card statement. And that's the reason why a lot of people just scrap marketing. You know why? Because they can't see it. It takes time. It takes 21 years to be 21 years old. So you just can't rock up and be an overnight success. You know? But the key is, you know, when it comes to marketing is you want to make smarter and utilize your full marketing budget. Because just throwing money at any high dollar advertising avenue just because it worked for somebody else, it doesn't provide you with an automatic customer base. People need to know you. Consistency is the key with any marketing program that you're going to be doing, and not a lot of people are sticking with it long enough to see the return on their investment. And businesses need to know how to actually stretch that limited amount of funds, but it has to be there. So if you listen up until the end, I'm going to give you 7 ways to actually stretch your marketing dollars and increase your bottom line profits. I mean, that's the least I can do. But let's do the mathematics. I want to go to statistics here. I think it was Harvard Business School research. I need to check this out. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, of course. We need to make sure we give you the statistics. Yeah, according to Harvard Business School research, you should spend 20% of your total budget on marketing in the first few years, because that's when you actually need to create your brand awareness and create your name. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure that I got the stat right. 20% of your total marketing budget in the first few years, you need to be creating just brand awareness. People need to know you, because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And after you settled and maybe made a few sales, you can then start toning it down, reduce it to about 8 to maybe say 12%. Because obviously it takes 12 times for somebody to actually get to know who you are. So if at least you've got a contingency plan around that, right? You then have, you can create something. But if you spend any less than that, let me tell you something. You're just spraying and praying with your marketing. And, it will take much longer for you to actually reach that intended audience. Like I said, yes, we might have people on social media, but we're so decentralized right now. There's groups on this, groups on that, communities around that. And we all know that the internet is driven by community, by conversations, and also content. But how do you then become part of those conversations and help people understand what it is that they're looking for online? You pay for it, bro. And how do you do that? With your time, your money, your value. Even, you see what people don't understand? Marketing also involves the mindset. What are you doing to teach yourself to withstand, the pressures of what the economy is doing for you? That's also part of your marketing budget. Who are you learning from, and what are you actually putting into your mind that will help you become one of the biggest, baddest people in your industry? So it's part of it all. So if you don't have a budget for learning, if you don't have a budget for your marketing, then you're just going to be a statistic, And if you're spending any less than what other people are spending, it's going to take you a long time, because you're not leveraging your money in order for you to actually, reach more people and impact more lives. And if you're a small business, the longer it takes, the more money you're going to have to maybe spend on the tangibles, like operations, salaries, maybe if you do physical products and on all those things. So if you spend too much time on other things and not enough time on marketing, you won't be able to make the sales that you're looking for. And that's why a lot of people give up. So when people show up to us and ask them, have you got a budget for, what you're about to embark on? Some people are like, I was just going to see how much it costs. Have a budget, bruh. Have a budget, sis. Have a budget, you. I mean, this is something that I'm telling you because it's happened to me too, I also pay for my marketing. I also pay for the landing pages that you show up on. I'm paying to do this podcast right now, because if I'm not doing it, then I could have been paying somebody else to do it, or things of that nature. As an entrepreneur, I want you to be aware that it is a common occurrence for a lot of businesses. It's not just you. But now that you know what you know, this information, what about them Benjamins, y'all? It's all about the money. And if you've got it, budgeted, then at least you are head and shoulders above every other person out there. And that's why a lot of people that are starting out, coaches and businesses, like I said, they fail within the first 1 to 5 years because it's not easy, y'all. And be aware that you don't put enough effort, in your marketing. What that will do for you, it will have an impact on how well your company does in the long run. Because if you don't, it's like a rocket, right? If the rocket doesn't have enough fuel to even start going past the atmosphere, then what's the whole point in that? So maybe you're asking, how much should I be budgeting for my marketing? Like I said, anything above 8%, you are well and truly good, to get started. Because now that you know that it's important to spend money on marketing, the next thing you want to consider is how much of that do you need to spend? And I did say, if you spend between 8 to 20%, that's only a guideline. Because as a small business, you may not be able to spend that much. So how do you figure out how much you need to spend? All right, you need to make a plan on, what you're going to be doing in your marketing. And this is something I highly recommend you to do, because if you have identified your target market and clarified your message, you start determining what media you need to reach out to those people using. And then guess what? You can now then start creating systems and processes and automate it so that it's not costing you that much money while you're opening up many other channels, because you can't rely on one channel alone in order for you to generate leads. So the channels that you might be interested in, whatever it is that you want to target, you want to make sure that you can afford them just to start off with. Because there's channels like Instagram. It's not only if you're going to be paying ads, or maybe Instagram and Facebook, you also need to create compelling content. That takes money, that takes time, and you might not be able to be consistent enough for you to actually get traction. Or maybe you might just have a website and you wish to use Google advertisements or, AdWords to drive visitors to it. You want to, you'd like to accomplish something fully offline, maybe like attending networking events. You have to buy suits. You have to buy dresses. You have to buy good clothes in order for you to make an impression. Or maybe you want to invest in a store when you, attend a trade event or whatever it is. That costs money. Whatever it is that you want to make, a decision in your company, it costs money. And what channels do you think will give you the best sales? Like I use this podcast because once I create this podcast can be turned into a blog. From it being turned into a blog, we can then take small snippets of it and make it into social media posts. And, I've shot maybe 2 to 3 birds with one stone using that alone in and of itself. So once you have a clear picture of what you want to do, just start budgeting for it. Because if you don't budget for it, then there's not going to be any consistency. And if without any consistency, then you don't show up. Half of success is just showing up. And if you can't afford to show up, then you become a statistic, bro. You become a statistic, sis. And if you already know how much, something will cost from a previous experience, that's fantastic. Then you just use what works, you keep, what didn't, you ditch. Otherwise, most of this information is on the internet anyway, so you don't have to go through, the false stats that a lot of people have. So just calculate what you're comfortable with. For instance, I've committed to spend pretty much about $5,000 in marketing every single month. And I stick to that budget because that then goes to all the consumables, the stuff that I have, all of the things that make this possible for me to run a digital agency. And once a month, I try out new things and see how they work. I've tried Instagram Reels for a month and see how that works, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is. And I'm spending my whole marketing budgets to see, what results I get in return. All right. And then, and what's increasing in all of that? I'm learning, and it's also increasing my awareness. Or is it giving me more sales or, more followers? Is it adding to my brand recognition? And then I follow the next month and I look at what worked, we keep, what didn't, we ditch. So there's also some things that you can spend money on, non-digital items. For example, I hired a content writer who works for me creating marketing collateral. And that's how I spend some of the marketing budget for that 3 months. Maybe it's just a one-off. Just try and see what works in your business, but make sure you have some sort of allocation that is dedicated for all those experiments, because you know what? If you don't do it, no one is going to create it for you. Okay? Like for real. Like one thing that you should know, that you can't fast track history. You gotta earn it. There's no way you can be a leader in your industry without content. There's no way you can be a leader within your industry without any thought leadership that you've put out there. All right? So when you're doing this, you'll be thinking about all that you can spend your marketing on. And over time, you'll be able to decide what to actually focus on, and what is working, you keep, and what's not working, you ditch. I mean, seriously, while building a marketing budget isn't difficult, it's one of those things that a lot of small to medium businesses overlook. You know why? Because it's an intangible. And it's very critical to be very clear on the marketing budget that you want, so that you can actually stick to it. And you focus on your marketing, because without marketing, you don't get the sales. And if you haven't built your marketing budget yet, I really hope that I've given you some pointers that you can use to get started. And if you haven't, and if you think this was a waste of both our time, then show me where you're going to be in the next 5 years. And guess what? I am more than happy to bow down and say, yep, you didn't have a budget and you succeeded. I'm sorry. And I go in and delete this podcast because it will be of no use. No successful business goes out there without the right tools, without the necessary contingency and plans and budgets. All right. So maybe how do you then, stretch that marketing spend? You see, I promised you that I was going to give you, ways that you can stretch your marketing budget so that at least you're getting more bang for your buck. All right. One thing that you could do is use free publicity. I mean, it costs you nothing to build credibility and awareness. Show up the people you can help them by actually helping them. And you can look for opportunities to be involved in community activities, be involved in people's podcasts, just so you can give value. Find where you can actually do most things for free. Because if you don't have the money, you better have the time. And then look for maybe local organizations, because there's organizations that are always looking for speakers for their monthly meetings. This month alone, I'm scheduled to speak 6 times. One of them is a church, and another one is like kids that are vulnerable, and another one is for migrant entrepreneurs. All of those opportunities give me an opportunity to refine my message. It gives me an opportunity to connect with other people and be of value. And also it helps me achieve my why of being a role model. Right? So even though I'm not getting immediate return, but that's still marketing, because one person is going to be touched by what I'm doing and disseminating, and you never know who's going to show up and say, hey, because of you, I did not give up. So you can also do that with, writing articles for newspapers. Look at a tool called Source Bottle, or hire a reporter out. If you want any of that information, just schedule a call and we can have a chat. Obviously, you need to create a website. I've been talking about this for a while. Websites are a must. A lot of people are flying without a website. Just because you're a coach or consultant, you think Facebook is enough. Let me tell you something. Facebook is somebody else's platform, and they can take that away from you. And if you don't have a website, you're obviously missing out on a great opportunity for your business. And if you don't have any presence on the internet, you don't have a platform where you're actually telling your story and you can control the narrative and actually, organize the customer journey that people are facing. It's very cost effective, and it's a way of letting people know about you and your products and your services without you having to repeat yourself over and over and over, wasting your time, money, and effort. And not having a website is a pain in the budget. Trust me, I know. Partner up with other people in your industry. Look for businesses with complementary services and create maybe tools and processes which help you, leverage other audiences that you can't leverage on your own. And look for ways to get involved in other people's stuff. Be of value to the community that you want to be working with. And pretty much after that, I encourage you to network. Be known. Get people to sing your praises at barbecues. Get people to sing your praises on the bus or in public transport or wherever it is that people can talk about. Because if you have other people doing the marketing for you. That actually lessens your marketing budget, right? And it becomes an asset that, goodwill or whatever it is that you can literally use when you're selling your business. I mean, seriously, marketing is an important part of any business operation, because the challenge is just finding that cost-effective ways to get your name out there without maybe going over whatever allotted budget that you have. And you need to have a budget. I mean, strategic planning is important so that you have a purpose with each of the marketing dollars that you spend. But some people will just randomly maybe select a few marketing activities and, then don't try them enough. And it's a huge waste of money. It's a huge waste of your budget. So you want to create a marketing plan that actually incorporates, some of the things that I've mentioned, online and offline setups, so that when things lock up, like when there's lockdowns or any global pandemics or whatever it is, you still have your marketing assets working for you on the internet, because income follows assets. If you haven't created any assets, if you're just spending money, spraying and praying out there, then you're not even creating a business. And that's the reason why a lot of people have got nothing to show for all the time that they've been making noise on the internet. All right? So at the end of the day, I really encourage that you don't fall into the trap that a lot of small to medium businesses are making, which is a big mistake, not having a marketing budget for your small business. And this is stuff that I've also gone through, but I've learned from it. Now I don't go to war, or I don't go into a gunfight yielding a knife, because you're wasting everybody else's time. You should have a defined marketing budget for your small business. And I can't wait to see you succeeding. And once you've got all of that, you'll be able to sustainably scale your business to 7 figures and beyond. And you would establish yourself as a trusted leader. You know why? Because you created the assets and you've spent your money and time wisely. I can't wait to salute you for having achieved a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And it only starts with a budget. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au